Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and I've played so many MMOs that I just have to constantly regurgitate list videos. I don't know. Whatever, you guys are here, so here we go. Actually, no, this one is requested. This is one that a lot of people have asked for, and yeah, I'm going to mention some games that you've heard before. So this is not the list to find a whole brand new MMO, but maybe a new perspective on these MMOs. Hopefully, you guys watch the full video to kind of understand. But this question, I'm just to clarify the title, this is going to be MMO that stay relevant no matter what level you are. Like, the low-level zones, you keep coming back to them. You know, no matter where you are in terms of experience or where you are in terms of, like, how you're playing the game, you'll eventually cycle through. The gameplay loop has you looping through generally, like, most of the zones, but especially the starter zones over and over again. So you definitely get a nice influx of new players and a mixture of old players all coming together and just kind of playing in lots of different ways, but in the same areas in the same zones. It's not just a linear progression of, okay, you start here and you go to the end and you're not really playing the game until the very, very end. No, all these games generally, I think, have a nice, good spiral outward, and then you actually come back in and then spiral outward again, and I don't know. You guys will see as we talk about them more. But anyways, MMOs that stay relevant, regardless of level. Here we go. I just got 4. Let's do it. Okay, so the first game is Black Desert Online, and I know it's polarizing, but hear me out, guys. Black Desert Online is a game that really, truly fits the definition of, like, the spiral that I was talking about. When you start out the game, you start kind of in this almost center point of the map, and then you go, and you just spiral out to level. But leveling to level 56 and getting your awakened class skills, that's actually kind of just the start of the game. And eventually you'll find yourself leaning into one area or another, especially if you want to do a new trade skill. Especially, that's mainly a big reason why BDO is so big, because you always got to go back to the major cities to do your trading and auction housing. And one reason why, even though there are level zones where you are going to go out to actually go grind and stuff, you do have to come back for the trading. But one reason why I have this as well is because BDO, unique to this whole list, is really about kind of making new characters constantly. So you have an experienced player with a level 1 account that's going to speedrun, and then you do it over and over again every season or so often, every update, every special event. That's really the gameplay loop of Black Desert Online. And in that leveling, you're going to be constantly crisscrossing different player levels and different player zones, and going back to those major cities, of course, trading and doing trade skills and stuff like that. I personally like fishing and sailing. That's pretty cool stuff. Of course, those are specific areas of the game, but I'm still always going back to those tried and true, grinding spots, grinding zones. And even as a super high level player, if you want to, maybe you are really specifically grinding out something because you think it'd be really good, to trade it in the auction house or something like that. Maybe BDO is kind of weird. It's a lot. The game is really about flash farming, so maybe even as a super high experience level player, you might go to a much lower level zone just to flash farm a whole bunch of stuff, because maybe you mathed it out in your Excel sheet, whatever, and you found out that that's how you make a lot of money. So there's a lot of ways to play BDO. It's a soft sandbox game, and at the same time, it has just enough structure to keep funneling players into the same spots over and over again. So you might really like that. You might hate it, depending on your perspective, if you want it like a full sandbox, full PvP, and not pay to win, I don't know. But BDO, depending on how you play it, can be really great, especially if you just want to always be around people and always kind of feel some sort of, like, population around you. You're always going to see certain zones over and over again, which could be a double-edged sword, but I think you're picking this list for a reason. You want to keep going and seeing those sites over and over again. This is the first game that I would definitely suggest. Number 4 is RuneScape, for pretty much the same reasons. Same reasons as BDO, except really honestly done better. And that's pretty much it. RuneScape, it specifically does have high level zones. It does have, like, oh, this is the PvP zone. This is where you go and do this and farm that. But you always have to go back to, even fewer than BDO, very, very specific cities. And also, I don't know, maybe it's a community thing, but people even go to the free-to-play servers just to hang out. But yeah, for every reason that I listed for BDO, I think they've actually really emulated RuneScape to a great degree. That sort of soft sandbox, kind of like, it's like a theme park sandbox, sand park, I don't know, theme box. Basically, RuneScape is that as well. A lot of people really know this game because of Varrock. So Varrock is a fun place to be for sure. But I don't know, I think it's a little bit the culture of RuneScape, but also kind of similar to BDO. There is a sort of culture of re-leveling and speed running and re-grinding and stuff like that. And a lot of people just kind of keep making free-to-play accounts and running through the quests and stuff like that. And I do want to say, kind of as an aside, but if you just play RuneScape free-to-play, you absolutely will be totally housed in a very specific location, just pinballing from one place to another. And that's totally cool. The free-to-play is really, I think, a full game in itself. It's just, when you get a membership, it is such a vastly bigger game. Much, much bigger. I've barely touched the surface on that. I need to definitely play way more. But yeah, just playing it free to play, totally fine too, and still is relevant for this list. You can actually play it mobile. The early access for RuneScape is also on mobile, and you can play old school RuneScape, which is the one that I'm suggesting as well on mobile devices. Next up, we have Elder Scrolls Online, which in direct emulation of Guild Wars 2, basically somewhat kind of recently, maybe you didn't know about this, but Elder Scrolls Online completely evened out all leveling, but even went a step further than Guild Wars 2. Where normally in Guild Wars 2, if you're high level, you go to a low level place, you get kind of de-leveled, you get kind of slightly rebalanced. Elder Scrolls Online does the opposite at the same time too. So you can have high level players going into low level zones, and you can have, like, I guess, low level zones or players just jumping and going into expanded content. So it's really not that linearly progressive, it's very horizontal, and now they've also rebalanced a lot of the rewards. That's something that a lot of you guys don't know about. So you can just go and do like low-level zone, open world content and get some of the best gear all around for the game. So right now we're actually, as part of the Video Game Party Club, we're all playing here on the Discord. We're playing through Elder Scrolls Online. Also, it's a pretty fair and cheap game. You buy the box game, you get a whole freaking game, and it's not that expensive. And then you can buy each individual DLC or just get the subscription, get everything for a single month, or there's lots of choices to have whenever you actually purchase this game. And Elder Scrolls Online, you always will be going from zone to zone in whatever fashion that you want, not just based on levels. I think a lot of you guys are looking at this list specifically to maybe play with friends or be able to play and then later on join your friends, maybe that they've already started or something like that, whatever. There's a lot of incongruency when it comes to the MMO community. Generally, MMOs are like, okay, you play it hardcore, you're with this guild, and it's really hard to invite new people to that party and to play with them. You basically have to make a new account or power level them, and I'm completely against that. So games like Elder Scrolls Online and the rest I've made on this list, I think are really great examples of games that you should be playing just in general for a really good, healthy MMO experience. But yeah, Elder Scrolls Online, I really appreciate that they went above and beyond there with that. Now, I do think that there are so many zones, and this wasn't originally the concept for the game, so you can have a lot of people in places, and then like in certain other zones, they're completely empty. And it might be hard to kind of drag someone over, even though you could technically, you know, it's all balanced and everything. It's just like, there's so much to do in so many places. Basically, it has population bleed. So that is kind of an issue and why some games didn't make this list. But all in all, for number 2, and definitely a great example of a game, I had to shout out Elder Scrolls Online. And number 1 is Guild Wars 2. Now, Guild Wars 2 doesn't do exactly what ESO does, where, you know, it bumps up players so they can just do any zone, anywhere, anytime. That also could be a double-edged sword. Could be a good thing though, right? Because, you know, new players in an endgame zone, like, or if you played Guild Wars 2, that might not be great. But at the same time, it does allow a little bit of a funneling, and still at the same time, experienced players can come back down. But what I love about Guild Wars 2 is it does a whole number of things really fantastically. Its arena PvP, even its world versus world for the most part, is pretty freaking balanced. You get in, you're level 80. Now, you don't have all the skills ever, you don't have all the gear ever, but you're level 80. In the arenas, you do get all of the gear, you get all of the skills, you're pretty much good to go. You can literally just level through PvP. That's a big thing as well, is multiple choices of how you actually level, how you actually get money and gold, and how you choose to grind. Guild Wars 2 is really the best example of a theme park ever. It's basically like, oh, let's go do this ride. Oh, let's do that ride. Oh, let's go do that ride. And for the most part, you can just jump and do that whenever you want. And you will constantly be going back and doing older, you know, younger dungeons. Like you start dungeons at level 30. At level 80, I promise, the level 30 dungeon is going to be your most grinded. I promise you, it will. And it's a pretty good dungeon. But you will be speedrunning that dungeon. And, you know, you're going to be playing with all the new players in PvP, which can get toxic, to be honest. But you will be cycling through the same major cities, the same starter zones, and you will be getting really the very, very comparable rewards, if not better rewards, in some of these early game zones. So Guild Wars 2 is notably, I think, the most known as being really the friendliest, one of the friendliest MMOs out there. It's also so fun to run around and do jumping puzzles. Also, the daily system of Guild Wars 2 will have you constantly jumping from early game zone to early game zone, doing jumping puzzles, or, you know, doing trains of elites, running trains on elite monsters, open world bosses, stuff like that. And you're just gonna have this interweaving of experienced players and new players, older guilds getting new, you know, recruits, stuff like that. And last month we had a good time playing Guild Wars 2 as well as part of the video game party club. Looking forward to Elder Scrolls Online, but Guild Wars 2 is a great game to really jump into at any time. There's definitely some debate over its sticking power because of how theme park and how specific its rides are, but every new expansion, every new update, every new living story, you know, little thing that they do, exposition dump, whatever, you can jump in and you can have a good time. So yeah, should do that, please and thank you. But yeah, guys, I only have four MMO that I feel stay relevant through the entire leveling process, where you do go back to the starter zones and you do kind of cycle through content. But I think there's probably some more, so please let me know in the comments below. But for me to kind of know that, I had to kind of really play these games and had to be very aware of these games' updates and their, you know, their life cycle as a player within these games. So yeah, I probably missed some. Let me know and let us all know in the comments below. But that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys have fun. And if you are playing these games now, maybe you realize, oh yeah, no, I think I could actually invite some people pretty safely into the experience with me. Or if you had a friend that's been begging you to play Elder Scrolls Online, now's the time to jump in. It's really, really fair and safe. So definitely give these games a shot, if you will. Much love, guys, and one last shout out to the Video Game Party Club. Join my Discord, comment below in Discord as well. Click that link and we'll have a jam. So that's it, guys. Keep the hype alive. I will see you again next time.